What does FNAF Secret of the Mimic hide in Chica's warehouse and Tiger Rock's boss fight? In the journey to retrieve the Mimic and its blueprints, Arnold will have no choice but to brave the scariest thing imaginable, a roller skating chicken. Today we'll be taking a closer look at the warehouse and basement areas to find stuff we're not supposed to see. Like, did you know Chica can spawn multiple times in Edwin's office? We'll also be breaking tons of stuff too, including releasing Tiger Rock from the basement. There's lots to see, so I hope you enjoyed this alternative look at Secret of the Mimic. As always, I'll recap what we're covering so we're all refreshed on the flow of events. With Dolly, now a molten pancake, you'll once again return to touch base with Dispatch. We are now able to access the admin wing, and so we'll cut through the warehouse where a roller skating chicken bursts out into sight. Chica now rolls around this huge room, hunting for the player as you locate pieces needed for a flow puzzle. I know it's still the Mimic, but they're only using the Chica suit for this segment, so that's what I'm going to call them. Once complete, the gate is then powered on, and you can continue forward to another crane puzzle. You'll move these obstacles around to create a path forward, eventually reaching the stairway on the other side that leads to another Tiger Rock jump scare. We'll stop the recap there for now and start over at the warehouse. So the first thing I wanted to do when coming back to this warehouse area was get a good view of the area from another angle. This room is packed literally to the ceiling with pallets, boxes, and various catwalks. This can't be a very successful business though, since every single box in this building is completely empty inside. There's also this trolley that can take you between the base floor and the walkways up above, and they've definitely seen some things. The only other thing I found in this room that caught my eye was the office we can see from down below. But it's only another projection and not a real space at the moment, so I feel a bit cheated. What I'm most interested in though is this wooden crate labeled Party in a Box. During our regular playthrough, Chica blasts through the door and then starts wandering the area. If we take a look inside, we can see the chicken already waiting there. But at the moment, she's frozen in this pose and won't move until the sequence is triggered. Speaking of which, it's time to unleash this feathered nightmare. When the player enters the warehouse and walks close enough to the Party in a Box, Chica blasts through the door like Shrek when All-Star comes on. This sequence takes place in the blink of an eye, and Chica is now free to skate around the warehouse without anything stopping her. Except for me, anyway. I wanted to try messing with this sequence a bit, and so I chose to delete the box around Chica to see how this would affect this scene. Unfortunately, in the process, I accidentally dropped her into the endless expanse of space. When I approached the box, it still exploded though, but there were no rollerblading Chicas to be found. The game may have despawned her because she left the currently loaded map area, but I definitely ordered chicken with my warehouse, so I had to bring her back. I didn't reload my save though. Instead, I went back to the storage room and then re-entered the warehouse. And when I showed up, she was in the room already and dancing like a maniac. At this point, I did some closer investigating with this enemy, where I discovered she has more than one costume. As I had mentioned previously, the Mimic can don a variety of costumes during our time in the manor, which is why they're packaged with multiple states containing these different models. Chica, on the other hand, can't, at least as far as I can tell. So you may be surprised to find that this enemy has an alternative character state containing Captain Springlock's model. This is obviously a little bit broken, since this character's feet have been moved up to his knees while he slides around. Not to mention Chica's textures are still applied to this model, so I'd hardly call this Captain Springlock either. This is a new character I unofficially deem Captain Partybeard. So with the area reset and Chica in her container, I put some of these boxes in front of the Party in a Box to see if we could stop her from leaving. When she broke the door down, she started hitting some crazy Fortnite dances, but she never tried chasing me. Even after I removed these crates and stuff, she still couldn't move, and she couldn't jump scare me either. Before moving forward, I also expanded the trolley. And this ended in disaster, because it was so big, I could walk onto the ramp up above and it would lift me up. Apparently this top railing is too high up, and the warehouse despawned in the process. This sent me falling to my doom. Moving on to the crane puzzle ahead, there really isn't much to see here since the doors and windows don't lead anywhere, and there isn't anything happening behind the scenes. I had to break something before leaving though, and so I moved the crane controls on top of this hammer obstacle to see what would happen. After dropping the crane, it lifted this segment with me on top of it and stopped at the ceiling. I could walk around on it unhindered, but I somehow died to the hammer guys even though they weren't moving. I didn't feel like doing this entire area over again, so I made some changes to this map. By that I mean I turned these stairs into a giant bridge so I could simply walk across. This worked a lot better than I expected, and I even did a similar method for getting to the stairs on the other side. By doing this, I never used the crane controls even once, and still got over here. At the top of the stairs, we can move the camera ahead before entering the next room, and in doing so, we can watch as Tiger Rock appears in front of you. He unloads quickly since this is just another scripted jump scare, but rest assured, we'll be seeing a lot more of this giant feline in a little while. Moving on, you'll take a lift down to the admin wing, where an animatronic cupcake is standing guard outside the door. When you enter the door ahead, you'll arrive in this office area, and Chica makes another appearance to throw a wrench in things. These cupcakes will sound the alarm if you don't give them space, and this leads the Turbo Chicken directly to you. If you reach the stairs, you'll enter this lobby area where you can finally obtain executive clearance, giving you access to the office ahead. Behind a hidden entrance, you'll find the security office, and you'll have to close the door quickly to stop Chica from running you down. Once again, we'll put a pause on the recap and head back to the start to the admin wing. So when we take the elevator down, we'll pass by this doorway where we can see an elevator inside. This is a room we'll actually be accessing later on, but for now these windows are only displaying a projection of it. We can actually break one of these windows and look outside the level, seeing that no part of this room currently exists beyond the walls since it's unloaded. Continuing forward, the entrance to the office has a door inside of it that's blocked off. I removed the crates blocking it and broke down the door, but once again, there's nothing beyond it except empty space. In front of the real door, there's the first of many cupcakes standing atop of a chair. These critters will begin alarming Chica to your location anytime you approach them, and this is surprisingly funny in slow motion. They kick their feet and spin around whenever active, and there are multiple instances where its eyes will cross and look incredibly goofy. I admit, I stayed here longer than I should have, freezing time to see the multitude of goofy faces. In every case though, this character is the epitome of no thoughts, head empty, and we love them for it. Something you may have not known is that these characters have a jump scare. If you walk into them at any point, they will instantly kill you, which honestly surprised me considering it's just a little cupcake. When the animation starts, the cupcake instantly appears in your face, leaning back a bit and then jumping forward at you. Their eyes are fully apart when this happens, and I have no idea how this attack manages to kill you. In the office ahead, Chica begins patrolling the area shortly after you step inside. There's a trigger just beyond the doorway that activates her though, and until you hit it, she actually doesn't move at all. At this point, she's hidden just around the corner and frozen in place, only starting to move when the player crosses the trigger. Something I find cool is that the doorway directly to our right could have saved us a ton of trouble, since it directly connects to the elevator room we're heading to. Both ends are blocked by either some boxes or electronics, but if we remove the doors, we can see that it leads straight through. I tried to walk through it, but there's actually a barrier in place that I wasn't able to remove, so I couldn't skip this section even if the doors were wide open. I was, however, able to walk between the walls. I despawned the level this way though, and fell forever, so probably not a good idea. There's another doorway that we can't access, and from our usual angle, it's only a hallway shrouded in complete darkness. By breaking inside, you'll see that there's an open room on the inside, occupied by a single machine against the wall. And we'd never see the inside during a regular playthrough. We can follow the hallway to another barricade too, although we're viewing this from the opposite side this time. This is also cool because Chica can't form a path into this hallway, so she just fumbles around instead. By breaking the box block in the hallway, I was able to continue around the corner reaching yet another barricade. By removing this blockade, I could basically walk straight through the last section of the office and head upstairs to continue our exploration. This area would be far too easy with access to these back areas, so it makes sense while they're blocked off. Now instead of Edwin's office, we can get a better look at the place from a different angle. This is a weirdly cozy office for the workshop of terror surrounding it, but I can't fault him for his taste. Well, I couldn't until I saw the nightmarish robot unicorn on the wall. This decoration is just terrible to look at, with lifelike teeth and no pupils to be seen. The sentient and murderous robots are one thing, but this unicorn is one step too far. As we continue forward, Chica will appear in the doorway behind the player after we access the security cameras. From another angle, you can see that she spawns right in front of the bookcase where we can't see her entering the hallway to run after you. You only have a few seconds to close the door on the chicken at this point, but how can we break this sequence? Well, to start, if we warp behind them, we can head straight for the entrance and quickly evade them. I put the game in bullet time so this is easier to see, but Chica remained in super slow-mo even when the game's speed was reset. Well, until they decided to scare me to death with a sudden burst of energy, that is. Not cool, man. What's interesting is that by heading back to the security room and using the computer, I was able to force Chica to respawn, and they headed for the door yet again. The vent was also open now because I broke the door previously, and Chica just stands in the room not knowing what to do. As for the vent though, we can't see the other side since it's beyond the hole we dropped down into. It doesn't lead anywhere though, only to some walls made of what looks like concrete. That's not the only dead end here, since the vent doesn't lead into the elevator room either. When we drop down, we're warped across the void code and into this new area, which loads in at the same time. Moving on in the story, you'll jump into the elevator, which drops you off in this dark subfloor, and things are about to get spooky. Heading downstairs, you'll open the door, spotting Tiger Rock as the door closes behind you. Lights will begin turning on in front of you to illuminate part of the basement, and so you'll run between these safe zones to avoid Tiger Rock's endless approach. You'll eventually come across a switch, flipping it on to open the door and entering this maze. Using these light-up Star Orphan toys, you'll continue to dodge Tiger Rock while exploring this pitch-black labyrinth, eventually entering this open area with nothing more than a small light to protect you. After opening the final door, you head back upstairs, returning to the security office once more. So jumping back in time, the first thing I did was put my hard hat on and work on some building repairs. By deleting this barrier, I could walk right into the other side, and there's nothing stopping me from accessing the elevator out here now. But we've got stuff to see in the basement, so we're heading into the basement anyway. You can see that this area already looks completely different from what you usually see. It's hard to tell with the area pitch black, but this building is way bigger than you'd ever realize. The only real way of knowing just how far you've walked is by looking at the colors on the support structures. Other than that, it makes sense why it's so easy to get lost in this area when you get turned around. At the end of this huge basement, we'll find our good friend Tiger Rock in his idle position behind the very last pillar. Until you walk through the door, this character will remain in this spot indefinitely, and because his eyes aren't glowing at the moment, you can never see this from the entrance. But while we're here, I learned something cool about this character. Similar to the Mimic, this Tiger Rock entity is pre-packaged with multiple costumes, but some are different from what we had seen previously. The costumes packaged with Tiger Rock include the empty suits we'll encounter in the maze ahead, including this old bird lady thing. Of course, the textures are all messed up, but that's the price you pay for breaking games. Now, as soon as the player walks into the basement, Tiger Rock warps all the way to the entrance from the hiding spot in the back. Before entering their domain, though, I was curious if they could travel into ours. After deleting the doors, Tiger Rock will still activate, and we can step back into this open area. As you can see, the freaky cat was able to tag along like this was a daily occurrence. His AI doesn't recognize the lights up above as a viable safe spot though, so while we can stand in place and wait him out for a while, he'll always reach you eventually. Back into the basement though, this is what Tiger Rock's movement looks like with all the lights turned on. When the player leaves the light's safety, the white tiger closes the gap by teleporting closer, each time a little faster than the last. With the lights disabled, it was nearly impossible to beat this section though, since I had no idea where the lights were and I had no chance of outrunning him. Even if the player's warped the entire length of the basement, he will catch up to you pretty much instantly. After reaching the door on the other side, we'll enter this long corridor leading to the next part of the basement. This is what the area looks like from an aerial perspective, because again, I had no idea this area would be so massive. While checking this out, I saw these strange brick structures that were on the wall and ceiling, but they're textured completely black. I don't know if this is supposed to look like a hole in the ceiling, or if they serve another purpose, but there are a couple of these placed throughout the basement. So with the area lit up, we can pull the camera back and see how Tiger Rock warps around these twists and turns to cut the player off. He essentially leads you through the map by teleporting to the next light, which is surprisingly helpful considering he tried to maul us moments ago. Also, you can watch as the lights in his eyes flicker on and off whenever the player looks at them. If you're a keen explorer, you'll find this hidden room that can be accessed by crawling through a vent, and inside of it is a creepy silhouette hidden by a cloth. Unfortunately, there are no secrets underneath it, but it's even spookier now, because there's obviously a ghost floating in front of us. Now, in this final section before our escape, Tiger Rock becomes extremely aggressive. However, I tested a theory that proved to be beneficial. By taking the Star Orphan from its podium and breaking the door down, we can make our way to the other side with the white tiger mostly pacified. This completely breaks the intensity of this area, but it's so cool to see it with the lights on. We're not supposed to have this toy with us for a reason, and this is why. The next maze is pretty claustrophobic, and here are some alternative angles to show you just how small this space truly is. When we cross through this narrow set of hallways ahead, we can hear thumping from beyond the walls, and it's super creepy. It turns out that the sound is caused by Tiger Rock, who warps around endlessly when we get near the wall on our right. At first I thought it was just ambience, but it was a real threat the entire time, which is way scarier. But now we can exit the basement and head upstairs, passing by the weirdest mannequins I've ever seen as we return to the security office. But with that, that's everything I broke and found hidden behind the scenes in the warehouse and basement. If you enjoyed this game-breaking video, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see all of you very soon. Cheers!